Abandoned at birth due to his red eyes, Remy LeBeau was kidnapped by members of the New Orleans Thieves Guild, who referred to the child as Le Diable Blanc. They believed he was the child who, according to prophecy, would unite the warring guilds of New Orleans. Shortly afterward, Remy was placed in the care of a gang of street thieves who raised the boy and taught him the ways of thievery. Later, when he was around 10 years old, Remy attempted to pickpocket Jean-Luc LeBeau, who was the patriarch of the Thieves Guild. Jean-Luc took the boy off the street and adopted him as his own son. As a child, Remy met Belladonna Boudreaux, the granddaughter of the head of the Assassins Guild, former enemies of the Thieves Guild. The two children became close and Remy fell in love with Belladonna. Young Gambit was tasked with recovering Nathaniel Essex's diary from a Weapon X facility in Canada. He was discovered by the guards, but got away with the diary in the confusion caused by Wolverine's escape. Dismayed by the experiments he had seen at the facility, he burned the diary. As part of a peace pact between the Thieves Guild and their rivals, the Assassins Guild, a marriage was arranged between Remy and Belladonna Boudreaux. However, Belladonna's brother Julien opposed the marriage and challenged Gambit to a duel. Remy killed Julien in self-defense, but was excommunicated and banished from New Orleans. Remy wandered the world while practicing his skills as a master thief, aided by his mutant power to charge inanimate objects with kinetic energy. Over time, Remy's powers began to get out of his control, so he sought out Mr. Sinister to help him. Sinister removed some of Remy's brain tissue to reduce his power to manageable levels. As a result, Remy was now in debt and was forced by Sinister to form a team known as the Marauders. Remy did not know that Sinister's intentions were to massacre the Morlocks. When this came to light, Gambit attempted to stop them, but was severely wounded by a marauder named Sabretooth and left for dead, as they began massacring the helpless Morlocks. All Remy could do was save a young Morlock who would one day grow up to become Marrow. Eventually, Remy encountered Storm, who had turned into a girl and lost her memories due to a fight with Orphanmaker. Remy helped her escape from Sadao King and the two became friends. When Aurora regained her memories, she took Remy to the X-Mansion and supported his entry into the X-Men. Remy soon fell in love with Rogue, who was also attracted to Gambit, but due to his powers, the two were doomed to never be able to have physical contact. At one point, Rogue left the X-Men after kissing Remy, confused and scared by the memories she had absorbed of her lover. Remy was subsequently captured and put before a mastermind mock trial, where his companions discovered Gambit's past and his relationship with Mr. Sinister. Because of this, Remy was kicked out of the X-Men. Gambit traveled to the Savage Land where he made a deal with a man named New Sun. In exchange for taking him back to the United States, Remy would run errands for him. He returned home and encountered the X-Men again when he attempted to steal the legendary Crimson Gem of Cyttorak for his new employer. He agreed to return to the team, mainly because of his self-esteem and his love for Rogue. During a trip to the past, Sinister restored Remy's powers to their full potential and was able to use them to return to the present. Shortly after his return, Remy served for a time as Patriarch of the Thieves Guild in his father's place, as well as leading one of the two X-Men teams. Remy was also responsible for the unification of the Thieves and Assassins Guilds, of which he briefly served as Patriarch. Meanwhile, New Sun organized an assassin hunt where Remy was the main target. Furious, Gambit took the fight to his employer only to discover that his employer was actually a variant of himself from another universe. In the New Sun reality, this Remy lost control of his powers, leading him to burn down his world and kill all living things. As a result, New Sun traveled the multiverse, murdering other versions of himself. During their final battle, Remy used his enhanced powers to the fullest to defeat his variant. After this, his powers decreased to their normal level. Remy was later framed by mutant businessman Sebastian Shaw for the death of Australian crime lord Viceroy. With the help of the Extreme X-Men, he managed to clear his name. Shortly after, Remy became involved in the Extreme X-Men's fight against an alien invasion of Earth. It was captured and used as a power source for the invaders to open a portal to invade Earth. The process was stopped by the villain known as Vargas, who ran Remy through with a sword. The hero managed to survive, but lost his powers. Because of this, he and Rogue decided to leave the team and live a normal life. Sometime later, the mutant known as Sage used her abilities to enhance Remy's powers, managing to restore her powers. During a mission in China, the X-Men fought a group called the Eight Immortals. In the fight, one of Gambit's explosive cards exploded too close to his face and he lost his sight. Because of this, Gambit was kept out of missions for a while, until Sage restored his vision. Gambit began to feel frustrated due to his relationship with Rogue. They both asked for help from Emma Frost, who tried to help them with psychic therapies, but this only aggravated the situation. The problem became even worse with the intervention of Mystique, who posed as Fox, a new student at the Xavier Institute, to seduce Gambit since she did not consider him worthy of dating Rogue. The incident irreparably damaged her relationship with Rogue, who confronted Mystique and discovered that Gambit knew her true identity and remained silent for days. After the events of M-Day, Gambit lost his powers. Apocalypse awoke shortly after and attempted to restore the mutant race. Gambit decided to seek him out to help him regain his abilities. As a result, the villain turned him into Death, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Under his control, Gambit nearly killed Rogue. Mr. Sinister sought out Gambit and helped him free himself from Apocalypse's control. In return, Remy joined the Marauders again. He was sent to kidnap Hope Summer, the first mutant baby born after M-Day. Sinister planned to experiment on the baby, but Gambit and Mystique teamed up to stop him. Using Fate's diaries, they used Hope to wake up Rogue, who had fallen into a coma after being infected by a virus. Remy met with Charles Xavier in Australia to help Rogue, who was feeling overwhelmed by all the personalities she had absorbed over the years. Charles managed to cure Rogue and is finally able to control his powers at will. Thanks to this, the couple shared a long-awaited kiss. An ideological schism between Cyclops and Wolverine tore the X-Men apart. While the former maintained his militarized operation in Utopia, the latter opted to reform the school in Westchester. Believing he had already explored the West Coast to its fullest, Gambit decided to join the faculty at the Jean Grey College of Higher Studies. Soon enough, Gambit admitted that the school environment did not suit him and returned to his thief habits, carrying out heists during his free time. Eventually, he left the X-Men to be a full-time thief. Returning to the X-Men, Gambit's romance with Rogue was rekindled when Kitty Pryde tricked them into going to couples therapy. Shortly afterward, Kitty Pryde and Colossus held a wedding ceremony after becoming engaged. However, Kitty backed out at the last second and left Peter at the altar. During the potential reception, Gambit was inspired by Storm's words about marriage and decided to propose to Rogue on the spot. She accepted, and shortly after they were married. While spending their honeymoon in space, they were interrupted by a call from Kitty Pryde, who told them that they needed to find a secret package connected to the Shear. They soon discovered that the package was Xandra, who took the shape of an egg. Kitty explained to them that she was the bioengineered daughter of Professor Xavier and Empress Lilandra, capable of changing her appearance and that of others at will. Having read Rogue's mind, Xandra offered to fix her abilities so she could touch anyone. However, Rogue refused, and when Gambit questioned her about her decision, she explained that the last time it happened, she never learned to control it because herself. After completing the mission, Gambit and Rogue returned to Earth, where the latter promised that she would learn to control her powers. During the Krakoa era, Gambit has had quite a few missions with various mutant teams. He has maintained his relationship with Rogue and, despite the setbacks, they continue together, willing to fight for their relationship and achieve a future where humans and mutants can coexist in peace. Powers. Remy has the power to take the potential energy stored in an object and convert it into kinetic energy, thus, charging that object with explosive results. He prefers to carry smaller objects, such as his ubiquitous playing cards, as the time required to carry them is greatly reduced and they are much easier to throw. The only real limitation to this ability is the time required to charge the item. The larger it is, the longer it takes to charge. Most of the loading is done through direct contact with the skin. The power of his explosions depends on the mass of the object he is carrying. For example, a loaded playing card explodes with the force of a grenade. He generally cannot use his powers on living matter or organic molecules. On top of that, Gambit possesses superhuman physical abilities such as great speed, agility, and stamina.